This is the Albuquerque Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week, we interview leading local business leaders to inspire the vision and spirit that is in every entrepreneur, discussing strengths, weakness, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together to fulfill a shared vision of a new future for Albuquerque.
What up, guys? This is Jason Rigby with the Albuquerque Business Podcast. Super excited today. We've got an amazing guest. He's not from Albuquerque. Alex, where are you from?
I'm from Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Oh, so this is going to be interesting. So we got accent and all going on. But I want to thank 99.9 The BFM. If you own a local business, support this not-for-profit radio station. You can stream it. It's old school. And today's R&B, it's at 99.9thebfm.com. Also want to thank Duke City Marketing. If you're looking for local SEO, Facebook ads, Snapchat ads, we're going to get, I think, Alex, we're going to get a little bit into Facebook and all that.
We're going to talk about Facebook. Are you kidding me? It's going to be like a brush fire in here.
With some data, we're going to get into a little bit of data sets and stuff like that with the new tech company that's coming. But if you're looking for digital marketing and you want it local, don't hesitate to go to www.dukecitymarketing.com. That's www.dukecitymarketing.com. Well, my guest today, Alex, we know by your accent that you're from not here.
Come on, is it like that noticeable?
First time I talked to you, I think we're at a dog park, right?
We were at the dog park. We're just shooting the breeze.
Yeah, and then you came up and you asked me about my tattoos.
Yeah, look at you. You're like a walking piece of art.
Do you know, are you like a mathematician or something?
No, I'm not a mathematician. I'm just like an addict. So, and by addict, I mean book addict. I read everything and anything. I don't care what it is. Is it a textbook? Science book? Doesn't matter. Philosophy,
you just read it all?
Religion. I don't care. I'll just read it.
Did this stem from your childhood? Were you like in the library?
No, do you want to know what the hell happened? Do you remember going to school and people telling you got to read books?
Mm-hmm.
None of them are the right books. I don't want to read this shit. And then it like pushes you off from reading. You're like, I have no interest in this.
Right.
You know, and then you lose your love for it. And then you come back and you're like, oh, here are the right books. Then you read one book and you're like, oh, that author talked about another guy. Let me read that. And then before you know it, you're in this huge, massive path they didn't realize you were doing in the first place, and now you got your own perspective.
So people that don't like to read books, because we're talking to business owners and entrepreneurs and stuff, people that don't like to read books, they need to find a book that they like to read.
Correct.
And then whatever it may be. It could be...
It doesn't matter what it is.
Was this like did you start with like a Playboy magazine?
No, listen, what do you like? I was rifling through my dad's collection.
Yeah, when I was 12.
My God, the 1970s.
Love that time. That was when they had like, Farrah Fawcett with the feathered hair.
Yeah, that was before Gillette razors were a thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you started reading books when you were younger?
Yeah, I started reading when I was younger, and then, when you get into school, people are pushing in the wrong direction, so you leave it for a bit, and then, someone gives you a library card.
Right.
And then the school starts finding you a shitload of money because you're taking out 10, 15 bucks a week. And then because now you're on the right path, now you're addicted to learning about something you're truly passionate about.
Right.
Right? So that starts to open up that whole realm. Now your perspectives start to change, and then you can reflect. And when you start reflecting, you start to read a new type of book. You know what that book is?
What?
That's the book on you. It's the book that when you were in school, no one ever taught you how to read.
Right.
They never figured it out. No one pushes that in education. People don't understand themselves. And once you get that, then you can start figuring out, wow, now that I can help myself and understand myself, I can learn to help others. Because everyone's so quick to come out and be like, hey, I'll give you advice on how you do this, do that, read this business book. Buddy, have you figured your own shit out?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
No, that's exactly the point.
Right.
So, when you become self-aware enough, like, okay, now I can really start helping out other people. Because I figured my shit out. Even if it's screwed up, I get it.
Or be vulnerable, and we're going to get into data a little bit and with privacy and all that stuff. But even to be vulnerable enough because, that you can put it out there.
That's correct.
And say, I'm screwed up in this area of my life.
Yeah,
and then you let that known, you get it out there. Next thing you know, it diffuses all the... Because I think, your family, I don't know how old you are. You're younger than I am, I think.
It's 27.
You're 27?
Yeah.
Really?
Listen, I shit you not. Sorry, you have to cut that out.
No, it's fine. Well, we can run it on the podcast side. Just the radio side will be fine. But, so you're 27?
27.
Oh, wow. So you're young. You're like half my age.
What, is it like my demeanor or something that like says I'm older?
You seem very articulate. So you seem extremely intelligent. So I thought maybe you were like 34,
the studio's
35.
No, the studio's only so big for my head. Can we not like inflate it any bigger than it needs to be?
Double door for you to.
Yeah, the double door's fine. We may have to crack that open.
No, but that's one of the things when you look at being able to be, self-aware, like you said, or having the ability to be able to self-learn. Probably society in general doesn't, because everything, and I think this is going to play into our data when we start talking about that, but everything wants to be controlled externally.
Of course.
So when you have that ability to be able to do that inside of yourself, that's amazing.
Everybody hopes that when they do something, it'll be controlled externally, that someone else can take care of and clean up that mess. You got to be self-aware, but you also got to be self-responsible. You got to learn to take your own blame. You have to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Love that. That was from the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Where I heard it mostly from was like when I went to church and there were like youth pastors. And they would always stand up at a pulpit and say, you need to check yourself before you wreck. Well, they just thought they were cool, and so that was like...
even if that's illegal, they're not wrong. They're onto something.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about, like, before we get into your business and stuff like that. So for people that are in Albuquerque, maybe that were born and raised here, we always look at back east. It's like being New York.
Sure.
Being, maybe Chicago, something like that. Tell me about, like, where you're from is, like, old school America.
No, it's old school America. So I actually lived on the First Street in America. It was called First Street, later changed to Leiden Street, in honor of the town in, I believe, the Netherlands that actually protected the Pilgrims before they became Pilgrims, because Pilgrims is like a voyage word of identification. And I'm like, literally, I don't want to say stone's throw, because it's kind of like a pathetic pun, but I was a stone's throw away from the rock where the Pilgrims landed.
So like Plymouth Rock.
So Plymouth Rock.
You were literally like right there.
I could have walked outside and just like sat down and just like breathed on it. I was so close to it.
Wow, that's amazing.
That was it. Yeah. No, it was nice though. And then Plymouth, what you got? You got cranberries, swamps. Right. I don't know if people know, but these things were on bogs. So you got high humidity. You know what bogs mean? Big mosquitoes. You know what big mosquitoes means? Ruining all your outdoor time when you're trying to hang out in the green, luscious grass.
So how do they take care of mosquitoes in Massachusetts?
Well, you see, you're going to like fog these suckers out, right?
I remember that did they have the like back, you're young. So back, I lived in Florida. So we had the same thing, humidity. And they would literally, this is hilarious. I was talking to somebody else the other day about this. They would literally have these big trucks that would come out and they would have pesticide in them at night.
Oh yeah, they can spray it at night.
Spray it everywhere. And as kids, we'd run behind them.
Oh my God, look at this giant orange plume.
And think it was
guys, we got to get in this,
Yeah, exactly. It was, and then I'm like, how much?
They put food dye in the water. That's exactly right.
So you're right next to Plymouth Rock. Did you grow up in, was it like, I always think of like nautical and
yeah, it was nautical.
Schools.
Yeah, you're right. All right, listen, you kind of put me in a stereotypical spot here. I did go to a private school. It was in Marion, Massachusetts. Nice school, sat on the water. And there was all that nautical shit, and now it's funny that you bring that up, because this is where my perspective kind of started to change. You can live in an isolated bubble, right?
Right.
I didn't grow up wealthy. I was hustling. Since I was 14, I was working multiple jobs. My family, everybody in my family was hustling, trying to do something, because you got to make it work. You got to feed yourself. You got bills to pay. You got places to go. You got to pay for gas to bring yourself to school. And you go in there, and I was absolutely fortunate to go to this, wonderful private school. But you start to gain a perspective on the isolation that certain people have and the way they grow up and how they view the world, right? Not to say that it's wrong, but it's such a limited perspective that you begin to filter through the bullshit. And the bullshit becomes a little frustrating. And I think that's where the first token of like where my spirit of myself started to change, right? I'm watching these people here do these things and I just don't agree with it. And I don't agree with it because it's wrong. I just don't agree with it because I think it's restrictive to who I am as my person, like my own personal freedoms.
Right.
Right? And then you tell me I got to read certain things, I got to act a certain way. I mean, I get it. Listen, it's private school, there's curriculum. But sometimes the curriculum does not match to the person and their actual speed of development. Right?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. How old is our school system?
It's just too old. I mean, the fact that like John D. Rockefeller did the majority of the funding of it, so.
Right. We still do like the Socrates teaching where, you have somebody stand up there and.
Well, is Socratic teaching not the best?
Yes.
Did you see what I just did there?
Yes, I love it. If you're asking questions and engaging, then
it's engaging. Well,
engagement in school, what?
That's exactly right. Oh, we want to hold people's attention so they learn something. And like when you ask a question, it's less intrusive to the mind of the other person. Because that individual's like, oh, they're asking me, so I can for a second figure it out for myself.
Right.
Even if I'm wrong, I'm going to have to come to some sort of conclusion internally.
Right.
So rather than have an external conversation, by you asking that question, you force it to be an internal reflection.
Right.
It becomes a much more
good.
powerful way for people to palate something like this and learn.
Right.
You know?
No, that's good. I think a lot of people don't take the time to, and you're looking at society, and we're in a shift right now, and it's a change of and I know where you're from is super old school America, but
you bet.
And we got to thank the forefathers and thank all that. But as society has changed, and like I said, we're going to get into that with social media and with everything that's going on, you have this ability to be able to adapt to be anywhere in the world and be able to learn.
That's exactly right.
So a child could be sitting at Starbucks with their laptop, and learning.
This is a great point. There's really no fundamental difference between me sitting here, 6'5", brown hair, blue eyes, white male, born in the United States, and another individual who might be in, say, Ethiopia or a poor neighborhood in India.
Right.
Right. There's no difference between me but the name.
Right.
Right. So people associate and they classify on that name, but we all learn the same way.
Yes.
We all reflect the same way. We all put our pants on the same way in the morning. I was at the gym a couple months back in Massachusetts, and I'm watching. It was such a stupid epiphany because I'm like, you know what? Something. My God, everyone does put their pants on the same exact way.
Exactly. Yep.
So when you level that playing field and you look at that perspective, there's really no differentiating factor between me or another person. It's just the language, but we're all going to learn in some fundamental way.
Right.
And the best way for people to learn is to learn about themselves first.
Exactly.
Even if they don't have any book, you go back in history, all the thousands of years, what are they trying to do? You're trying to teach people to internally reflect, to be like, hey, I need to do this to be a better person. Or even a worse person. I don't care what the hell you do. It's your choice, right? Life's a function of choice. But let's look and see what we can do to grow as human beings. And that's not going to happen in a book. You can read all the books you want. That's going to happen when you actually take a step back and be like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't right for me.
Right.
I got to do something else. So I've had a series of those things over my time, my development, my years going to school, yada, yada, yada. And now I'm here with a company that deals heavily with data. And it's for a second, it takes people the time to reflect and realize, wow, there's a lot of value in me, myself. And I didn't realize that there was an option for me to express that value. So that's what we're going to get into.
Yeah, no, I think it's great because you have so many people. I mean, I'm fixing to bring on a few guests that are influencers on like the Instagram platform.
Sure.
So when you look at that, it's because a lot of people talk about like social media, but it's really a platform.
That's all
and
it
it's
is.
a platform for advertising.
Yeah.
And we're spending, I always look on my Apple phone and it tells me how many hours I spend on everything. And, I'm on Instagram a lot, and a lot of people are. But at the end of the day, it's you trying to organically advertise yourself to get yourself out there to the point to where you could catch a break or whatever.
Jason, that's exactly right. So you're self-advertising, right?
Right.
What you're doing is you're constantly testing. Does this work for me?
Right.
Does this work for my image? So you put out an external test so that when you can sit at home and you're thumbing through this thing in your own personal space, you can emotionally check, oh, that worked. So inside, you just learned something. So even if it was external, right?
Right.
The real learning happens inside.
Right.
So this is that platform, right?
No, I like that. Yeah,
you've taken that data of you, you've put it out there, and now you've learned from it.
It's almost like old school, like, when you would look like Los Alamos or these areas. I would listen to like old radio shows where they're talking about like the scientists that would come here and do all the nuclear stuff and all that.
Yeah, of course.
And then all the testing that went involved.
Do you guys know if we split this shit, we can like blow like a 30-mile radius over here?
Didn't we do something at White Sands, I think?
Yeah. I was just down there and I came out of there. I'm like, wow, I got like a third lung growing out of my face.
Yeah.
What's that from?
Yeah. You're driving back at night coming to Albuquerque and you're just glowing.
It's like, wow, I'm like ghost riding it. I like turn the lights off in the front and I'm like, there's enough light coming out of the car cabin.
Yeah. Isn't there supposed to be like, in their conspiracy theory, I think there's supposed to be like a hidden railroad between.
Come on, don't tell me that.
Yes.
I love conspiracies.
I know, I do too. Yeah, I'll stay late up at night to watch that. But there's supposed to be an underground railroad.
Yeah.
That's from Los Alamos, Department of Energy that's there.
Right.
And we'll probably both be dead after the end of the week.
No, I'm glad. Listen, I'm glad we brought this up that they got an underground tram system that gets me from here to Alamogordo in 3 seconds.
Yeah, I think, who knows? They may have,
probably
Elon Musk is into tunnels.
They probably mapped this. Yeah, of course he is. He's into tunnels. He's just behind it. You got a 40-year period before people release their, their information, right?
Yeah, so who knows? This could be like some magnetic bullet train.
Wouldn't that
I don't know.
Fantastic.
But, yeah, it would be awesome. But it's supposed to go because Sandia Labs to the labs there. And they say sometimes if you watch, like if you're drinking a glass of water or something like that.
Right.
So be curious how many listeners you guys will have to email me or whatever if you've experienced this. But I have experienced it where it starts doing tremors. They say that's a railroad because obviously there's no earthquakes here. So
Wait, so hold on a second. You're telling me they got like a big-ass steam train underneath the earth? I can understand a tremor's coming from that, but if I'm on a maglev, that thing should be like mint quiet.
Wouldn't that be cool if it's like you go down there and then just like stepping out in time and it's like, what's that like punk? Oh, like the old school stuff that's kind of modern, but then it looks like it's from.
Oh, you're talking about like almost, it's not like steampunk, but it's almost like a futuristic kind of vibe down there, you know?
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like futurism. It's like 1910, 1920 futurism, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be awesome too.
Buddy, what's happening down here?
Yeah, and then next thing you know, and then all aboard. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, everybody hop on. We're going to Los Alamos. We're going to dump you off with a bunch of these aliens.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's another secret base, supposedly, and it's named after a latte, Dolce.
Dolce.
Have you heard about that one?
Was that like a caramel type?
Here. It's called Dolce, New Mexico, but it has, if you go on there, there's supposed to be, it has a picture of this super underground facilities. There's a big entryway into a rock. And there's supposed to be, and that's how it is here supposedly with all the bases. There's like, super underground, and that's been proven, like they have layers.
Like when, well, wouldn't you?
But in the Dolce one, if you look it up,
there's
supposed to be hybrid alien humans in there.
I'm all about that. Look, I'm 6'5". I'm probably some sort of hybrid.
Yeah, who knows? We don't know what happened.
Who knows what that'll happen? They've probably been stitching things into me. Yeah.
Trailer park. So, if I'm an alien and I'm going to hover out, why not?
Why the hell not?
Oh, there's a Camaro.
Yeah, like that's
Schlitz beer.
I'll take that. That's my type of person I want to mix with.
They inbreed. This is perfect.
I'd probe that. They're probing each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be easy. But yeah, so supposedly there's all these bases, and New Mexico's had this huge. I haven't seen a spacecraft yet.
Here's something funny. You come to New Mexico, you watch all this shit on like the History Channel, the ancient aliens, like, oh my god, the labs, New Mexico. I haven't had anyone talk about any aliens out here. Nobody. No one even talks about it. They just kind of keep it quiet. There's no question the fact.
Trump.
He's
building a wall.
There's a huge wall. Like I guess it's like a security wall or something. But like the base over here, like wait a minute, what are you guys hiding?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like in all seriousness, like why? I'm sleeping up here up in the Northeast Heights, and it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I hear something just ripping across the sky. It sounds like it's splitting in half.
I heard something like that a couple nights ago.
I turn over and I'm looking at my girlfriend, Amanda. I'm like, Amanda, did you hear that? I didn't hear anything. She's like drooling out of her mouth. The dog's like just like running in its sleep.
The dog should know.
The dog should know. They should pick up on it.
But isn't there like some magnetic propulsive, like Aurora or something like that? There's supposed to be some aircraft that's here that does magnetic pulses.
No, that's what I'm talking about, the pulse one. So it makes just like this awful noise when it rips across the sky. And I know they're using it. I believe that type of engine was originally designed by Tesla, right, to have that sort of pulse. But they put the ion engines and stuff like that on like B2. You create kind of like a field in front of the wings. We're getting off topic, but that's, there's a lot of cool stuff.
We got to have you back for another podcast where we.
I'll tell you, when I say I read a lot, I mean, I'm on all different angles here.
So, I went to, it was interesting because I go back and forth to Seattle all the time, and I went to the Boeing museum flight there, and they have an SR-71 there.
Yeah.
And, supposedly that is the fastest aircraft.
I got goosebumps just thinking about the SR-71. All right, here we go.
They have it there, but think about this. And
tell me.
I know all the technology was invented when on that aircraft?
It was designed in the 50s with a slide rule.
Okay. Think about that.
So this has you have I believe it's a carbon fiber mixed with titanium body, right? Now they understood that when you took this plane and you brought it up to speed in the air, that the fuselage would actually constrict, right? So it would harden. So every time, this was a material that would fly, and every time you would fly to become stronger.
That's crazy.
So if I'm right here and I'm going to start bashing on this glass, it's going to get weaker over time. But the more they abuse this thing, the stronger it gets.
But think about the technology from 1950s to now.
What are you talking about?
And then
there's a gap.
It's the fastest
aircraft. There's a gap. There's a gap. Let's talk about something absolutely obvious here, okay? I got a plane that can do over Mach 2, right, in the late 50s.
Right.
And it's got a camera on it with a shutter speed that's so fucking fast, it can take a picture of a Russian license plate at like 60,000 feet while going full tilt. This is in the 50s. But my iPhone can't like zoom in and take a picture of something 300 yards away. Explain that to me.
I wonder what these drones and stuff like that have on them.
Of course, and then you look at the drones, right? Well, and then you also got to look at the guidance system for the SR-71. You tell me I want to fly a plane at like Mach something, I don't care what it is, and I got to be looking down taking photos at the same time? Doesn't happen.
Right.
What do you got to do? You need autopilot. How do you design that? You put a computer in. So why is it that every time the SR-71 would land, the pilots weren't allowed out of it until a truck showed up with 2 guys in suits that would come out and take out a trash can-sized computer out of the back? That's because this computer could triangulate the stars in a fully overcast system in under 2 minutes to fly this plane.
That's crazy.
You didn't even have to have people in it. So you tell me IBM was filling up an entire fucking room with a computer back at that same time, right? To do basic punch card calculations. And I got a trash can R2-D2 sitting in the back of his jet, flying the entire thing in the 50s.
Think about that. Yeah.
Think about that. But it's not even that. It's the math. That's what's incredible. They have all this fantastic technology out there, but the thing they don't share is the math. You tell me you're designing this plane with a slide rule. Talk about simplicity, right? But it's such a fantastic feat of design and engineering with these twin Pratt Whitney engines, and this thing just rips across the sky and no one can catch it. And it's just taking photos like no one's business. Please.
Yeah, that's amazing, and it makes you wonder what is there.
What
now.
else
I mean,
we got?
how many years ago was that?
60 years, 60, 70 years ago?
Yeah. And then what has technology changed? Just in, like you mentioned, the iPhone and...
It's crap.
I know, yeah. I don't want to... Next podcast, we're going to get into moon landings.
Listen, we'll get into moon landings.
I want to talk about you and your...
We'll talk about that big old hollow moon, no problem.
But let's get into... So let's talk a little bit about... What's your company's name?
Company's name's TARTLE. TARTLE, TARTLE. Scottish word.
Oh, and does it have a...
Did you do any research on it?
No, I did not.
No, I'm glad you didn't, because this allows me to explain it. Otherwise, this would be like a short podcast. You know what I mean? So let's consider this. So, Jason, I go to introduce you to our friend over here in the studio.
Right.
I've forgotten the friend's name.
Byron.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Consider that awkward pause. When I go to introduce you to someone, but I've forgotten the name. That's strange, right? Isn't it? Happens all the time. It's called the TARTLE.
Oh,
So now, in terms of application, how does that work on my company, which is an exchange-based system? Well, nobody has any names. I made everybody anonymous, and I'm bringing two parties together, and no one knows each other's names. It's a perfect TARTLE.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
It's nice, right?
Yeah.
And I figured it was pretty good because, a lot of words can, mistranslate in other languages. I don't know what the hell. I got no examples. Like, watermelon could mean, cashew.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care. You know what I mean? But TARTLE, you can't mistranslate. It's a Scottish word, known in Scotland, right? So I'm like, that is perfect. It's also easy to type on the keyboard. So if you guys can't forget it, it's TARTLE.co.
That's cool. Yeah. So it's TARTLE.co.
CO, yeah.
Don't add the M.
Why would you put the M? I don't want to have to type extra letters. Can we be as efficient as possible? Yeah. Screw it. Just put TARTLE and have the thing just load up,
Yeah, you think we could get to that level.
Yeah, you think we'd be able to. We got to figure that out.
Well, I think Elon Musk has a new thing where it hooks to your brain or something. I heard he's coming out with that.
So you can just stare at stuff and it can figure out your brain patterns?
Yeah, and it's that connection where it's going to have what do they call that? Where they can, even now, they can hook data up to certain parts of your brain.
Well, makes sense. You got you got your 4 or 5 different waves in there, alpha, beta, delta, and whatever the other one is. Right? So think about how easy this be to design. It sounds really complicated, right? If my brain, if we were going to practice designing this thing, I'd go to pick up this can right here.
Right.
That's a different type of trigger in the brain. That's an electrical impulse. So now you can associate the hand movement with that electrical impulse. So I do a series of events and tests and all these different things. Now I have a catalog of impulses. So now if I'm thinking I'm going to do something, that's the intention of that thought, right? So the system can already work because it understands the intention of the impulse. And now I'm picking things up and I don't even have to be there. I'm changing channels without even doing anything. I don't have to say, touch anything. I'm just a lazy fat guy.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of floating around.
I watched that. What has always scared me is watching that Wall-E Disney movie.
This is the exact thought.
Shakes.
No, it's funny that you brought that up because I'm drinking a shake and I'm laying down in this coffin, my mobile coffin. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then they just dispose of you with trash and you're next. So let's get into TARTLE a little bit as far as, because you just brought this up. We were talking about data and stuff like that.
Right.
And I love the analogy you used with Byron.
Yeah.
Can we do the short one first?
Yeah,
then we do the long one?
Let's rehash the analogy here. So we look at about 70% of Americans have a Facebook. I'm not too keen on Facebook. Now, Facebook last year in their 2018 revenues, 98% of them accounted for about $15 billion in targeted ads. Now, targeted ad works is where I'm going to take all this information, these profiles on these individuals, and I'm going to give it off to all these companies so that they can market you goods and services, right? More shit that you don't need. Now, they sold all that. They made the kickoff of it, right? And it's all your info. It's your thoughts, your intentions, your ideas, what you do, what makes up you. It's the digital you. It's your digital identity.
Right.
How much money did you make?
Zero.
That's exactly my point. So what TARTLE does is it allows you to anonymously sell your information about you, this source data, this info, and you can make a buck for it.
Oh, so it's actually is it like being the middleman? I'm trying to simplify it.
No, let's simplify it, right? So there's an asymmetry, there's an unbalance in the universe.
Right.
The companies are making all the money off of your information. So every time your lips flap and talk, assume they make a penny.
Right. Which they do.
Which they do.
Right.
Now let's take that penny and now, because you're the one talking, it's your idea, let me give that penny to you instead.
That makes sense.
Right? So now what these companies want is they want an idea of demand. They're trying to understand, they're trying to research the populace, right? You and I are sitting here having this conversation because we want to understand each other, right?
Right.
We're trying to deliver a message. Now, our sense of trust, our exchange that you and I have is this conversation.
Right.
Now, for them, their exchange medium is, okay, I need information on people so that I can exchange them a good or service. Now, I'm going to go to a third party to get this info rather than going to the source. That was their original intention, right? And so that's why Facebook made all the money. Now, this is old information, right? They compile this shit over time, and they try and put together a profile of all these different timelines about how you think. Jason, you changed your mind on what beer you're going to drink like 20 minutes ago.
Yes.
So how are they going to know that's the same beer you're going to want to drink, say, an hour and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now? They wouldn't.
There would be thousands of different data points. What breweries?
Too many. What a nonsense.
Right.
What a pain in the ass. Why wouldn't I just come up to you and be like, Jason, what do you want to drink right now?
Right.
Done. And guess what? You and me, we're having a conversation. This is our transaction. But for them, how do I incentivize someone? I'll pay them to figure out what that answer is. What are you doing wasting the time with all your research bullshit, data points, ripping people's information, getting all these PhD people together to analyze something was just a simple question.
Yes. I know. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Why not ask directly?
Why not just ask directly? So it's as simple as that. This is not a complex thing. This is a system of exchange of asking people directly what the hell they want or what they're going to do.
Right.
But think about all the business problems that solves.
Yeah, I think it does externally because if, as far as being on the digital marketing side, Facebook just had a huge issue and they, before it was a free-for-all. Like I could literally go in there and say, I want to target males 36 to 54 that are looking for a Honda, that have gone to Honda USA's website and then gone to a local dealership's website, and then they've spent time on the vehicle description pages, so time on site, and so then that's a lower funnel person, so then I could turn around.
That's exactly
so
right.
Now I could turn around and market that, where I could ask a simple question, are you still interested in getting a Honda or not?
It's as simple as that. I could be sitting on the couch, butt-ass naked, and my dog walks across the keyboard and it puts me on a car website, and I'm there for 3 minutes because one, I'm scolding the dog, right? And then I got to figure out where my clothes went because I don't know why I'm on the couch naked. Right? And then someone's going to come over and sell me an auto loan?
Right, exactly.
Wait a minute, buddy. I didn't mean to be on here, but think about all the steps that had to happen before they got to that answer to figure out, let's put our marketing dollars into that.
How many wasted marketing dollars are in that by not being communicative?
If we look at the entire market of like marketing and research, right, that's $143 billion per year. Such an absurd number. I don't even like saying it because it makes me feel stupid because the number's so big, I can't even count that high, right? Now, if we can take this information, we can incentivize individuals to control their data, be anonymous, sell it, get it out there, they can start taking this value for what they have and doing some good with it, right? Pay for your school books, pay for some food, pay for a bus ticket to get yourself to work. I don't care what the hell it is, And on the other side, people start making some smart business decisions. I'm not going to come around and be like, oh, Walmart, guess what? We think people are going to buy 400 of these blue chairs. I don't want the blue chairs. Maybe we should only make 20 brown ones. But what we had to do is we had to put in an order, PO this thing all the way over to China, get all the natural resources pulled together to make 400 of these blue chairs that we didn't need in the first place, ship them over here so no one's going to buy it. You want to know why? Because no one has any sense of demand. They have no sense of just asking the person straight out what the hell they want to do, what they want to buy.
And we have the ability, because I'm thinking of this esoteric, so we have the ability to be able to ask that question. Especially if, and I see what you're getting at, especially if it's incentivized.
Of course. You got to incentivize people, right? No one's just going to be like, here's my info.
Right.
Take this. Pay them. You got plenty of cash to spread around. And you were just doing it from a marketing dollar standpoint. Think about the ecological, environmental cost savings, the financial cost savings you have just by making smart, well-informed decisions.
No, I think that, but you even think about it, it's almost like these social media companies, Google, a lot of people don't understand this, but Facebook owns Instagram. So let's get that real. It's one big company. When you do ads on Facebook, there's just one little button.
That's as simple as that.
You want to click to Instagram stories or Instagram.
Right.
So it's all one big. And you look at Snapchat, which probably get bought up or whatever. Twitter, Google's been looking at them. But at the end of the day, it's almost like they are with a hands-off approach to the consumer.
That's correct. Frankly, it's disconnected.
Like the government, almost.
Yeah, it's disconnected. And people have forgotten, and this is my opinion and my observation, people have forgotten the power inside themselves. People have forgotten their value internally and how they think. And these companies, they beg for this because they're trying to make money, right? They're trying to do all these things. They're trying to put out a product to hopefully better our lives and bring us forward into the future, right? To advance us. But right now we have just these swaths of data, just a mess of information that's just everywhere, and they collect, and try and analyze all these just, disassociated things to figure out, oh, that's who Jason is. When truly has nothing to do with who he is or how he thinks. So why go about such a roundabout process and just ask people what the hell they want to do?
Right. Don't judge me on my late night website.
That's exactly right. I don't want you to judge me on the browsing history I have after 2 a.m.
I know Google gets all of that.
Yeah, no, of course they're traffic and all that stuff.
Everybody thinks they can go incognito, but that's still owned by
No, it doesn't happen.
Chrome. Does Google get that data?
Yeah, of course they do. So here, let me tell you how we fix this on TARTLE, right? So a majority of your profile online, so it's you. It's like a mirrored self, right? It's your digital identity.
Very detailed.
Right. Let me keep this simple. Like your home address, right? You have an IP address, an internet protocol address. So it defines where you are at any point geographically, right? And so they can associate that data point with a bunch of other things and say, okay, Jason is on some other part of the country accessing this web page for this amount of time, yada, yada, yada. So at TARTLE, what we have is we have this absolutely fantastic military-grade virtual private network. So that means when you're on our system, we prevent them from following you, seeing what you're doing, who is accessing the internet, what that profile might be. So now I had to look at it from a holistic approach, right? So let me bring you back around to this. If in the system everybody's anonymous, right? There's no judging. I had to do it so that the value of the data was even across the board, right? So that I can't like put somebody in a box and say their information is worth less because I can't pronounce their name, all right? So I'm going to anonymize that. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take names out of the system, right? So that way we have a better flow to our data. It makes more sense. There's a higher value to it. There's no judging someone's thoughts depending on where they are geographically, or how their name's pronounced. So, speaking of the geography, I had to anonymize how people moved on their data traffic. So if I'm going to be accessing the web, I'm like, okay, I've gotten rid of people's names. Now I have to hide where they are. Now, by hiding where they are, that means all these profiles, all these other companies are making money off of stealing your information. Or not necessarily stealing, but abusing it, or some sort of unethical use. Now what they're going to see is that all the people that are on TARTLE, it just looks like TARTLE's accessing the internet. It's like, instead of having all the cars go on this highway out here on 25 or 40, I'm going to have them go through my tunnel, which goes underneath the mountain, and it scrambles all the information. No one really knows where you're going to go after that.
It's
like our underground government conspiracy tunnel. We know it's there, but we don't know where the hell it's going.
It resets the data. I'm trying to think. So it resets a playing field.
That's exactly what it does. You have to level it out because the power asymmetry has been in the hands of those people, right? The larger corporations. So it's like, how do I put it back in the hands of the individual? That's what's important. Because we drive the economy. We're the ones that go into work 9 to 5, shuffle the paper, move this stuff, hate what we do, go back home, watch the box on the TV, fall asleep, get back in another box, drive all the way back over to sit in another box. Box to box to box. We're the things that get things to move, right? But I need people to look at that we're the true ones that make the decision on what our outcome is going to be, right? So this TARTLE, this exchange, allows people to define that outcome. So the more information we put into this system, the more we use it, the more we exchange with these larger companies to give them the proper insight, the right ideas, the better growth we're going to have as a society with our technology and the self-reflection, to go back to the early part of the podcast, about our own internal growth. Because when you're putting this information in, you're reflecting on what you are and what you do, what you think. And you look at the value of what makes you an individual, right? And that's going to be the defining factor that puts us into the future. So it's my hope that when people come on here, they use this as a tool to benefit from. You can be your own bank, right? Because it has a digital wallet. You can take your information and you can use it as a store of value to buy goods and services, whatever it might be, feeding your family, getting yourself to work, I don't care, taking a plane ride somewhere. And in the other half, there's no excusable reason for companies anymore, or research facilities, whatever it might be, to make a bad decision. And I say that because you now have access to all the people and all the information you could ever possibly need. So for you to make a decision that's either going to destroy, say, 300 hectares of, beautiful forest out here, or you're going to push products that's going to cause a massive carbon footprint, or you're going to make a financial trade, which was a 50-50 shot, but now that you have TARTLE, it's 100%, I know exactly what the hell is going to happen. If I'm a political campaign person, I want to test my policy ideas before I come out and say something stupid on the news, you can do that. Now that this tool is in place, no one anywhere has an excusable reason to make a bad decision. No one has any reason not to use it, because by not using it, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing society a disservice. So this exchange is no longer the asymmetry of one person wins and the other loses in a zero-sum game. Both parties win from this. And there's a societal development that happens, and understanding that we have sovereignty over ourselves, our data, the way we think, and the way we act. And we can be responsible for that. This is a tool of responsibility. And so I hope that people find that, understand it, and use it. And I hope they use the hell out of it.
Right.
And it's free to use.
That's the crazy part,
Like, are you shitting me? You know? That's like someone's outside and they're like dangling the keys to the Ferrari and they're like, it's yours. Go ahead.
Because I want to explain this to everyone right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm excited about it. It seems like it's a win-win. So if I'm a business owner and I'm a consumer and I want to go, is it like a Chrome? Is it like an Internet Explorer?
That's great that you ask, right? So there's been a little bit of trouble with the App Store, and I'll explain this, and I'll come back to your question. The App Store has a typical review time for their development, right? So about 90+% of their applications are accepted and approved within 24 hours. The other 5 to 10%, whatever it might be, I forget what their statistic was, is accepted in 48. I submitted my application some time ago. After a course of 53+ days, one of the longest review times on the App Store, I've had their legal team call me and their specialized review board team to tell me that this will never happen.
Wow.
So I'm thinking to myself, before I absolutely blow my fucking top on Apple, right? I need to get some clarity into the situation. So the first response was that, Alex, we understand what you're doing here. We understand it very well because we have 50+ days to review this. And I know we've been leaving you high and dry. I put that in their mouth. We want to let you know that this application is just far too disruptive to our business model. That's their first response.
Right.
I'm like, your business model. So help me understand here. How is it that I'm creating a tool which gives back to the people, which is at the forefront of technology, is an absolute sociological masterpiece for people to take back what they need. And you call yourselves a technology company leading the forefront to actually be the change, right? You design
in an ethical way too.
In an ethical way too. And you're telling me this is not going to happen because it's too disruptive to your business model? So can you elaborate for me, show me in writing how this is disruptive to your business model? No problem. So we did a deep dive with the lawyers and we start looking at the terms and conditions, only to find out that if you have an iPhone or you write any sort of software that has to do with anything on their hardware, I don't care if it's your thoughts, you don't own the digital rights to that information.
Wow.
Hold on a second, it gets even worse. Apple wanted to cut a deal. They're like, okay, if you want your application to be on the App Store, you're going to have to make some changes. You're going to have people pay us every single time they want to sell something about themselves that they owned in the first place. Is that not the most hypocritical load of shit I've ever heard in my entire life? So I thought to myself, okay, you want me to charge people 30 cents on the dollar for something that's already rightfully theirs, and you don't claim it to be theirs because it's on your system? Something seems a little backward about that. Something about that does not seem progressive as a technology company in trying to expand who we are as people. There's no match between the human spirit and technology at that point. There's a diversion, right? And it really shows you who believes we actually own this, and the way they market it is saying, oh no, we're all about your privacy. Horseshit.
Yeah, that's crazy, because you would think at the end of the day, the more that they have, I mean, we keep talking about Elon Musk, but he put all his plans and everything out there on the Tesla. Said, if I can get this, and I don't know if he's a bad or good guy or whatever, but if I could get this information out there and it further humanity, here we go. Here's all the information. Here's the
Don't
plan.
you think that should be out in front of people so that we can learn and develop?
Yes.
So it's not there, right? So long story short, that code is written in a certain language, right? And because they didn't want it on the App Store for their whole slew of just terrible reasons, and for what I frankly think is unethical, right? But that's my view and perspective and opinion. We had to retranslate this information so that it circumvents the App Store, so that we don't have to have people high and dry. We don't have to make them think that, what you thought you owned, you truly didn't own, right? So now the application, which was so smooth on the iPhone, is now just as smooth by accessing it anywhere across the web on any device. I don't care what it is. So now by circumventing them, I don't have to worry about it. And I don't have to look like a hypocrite.
Right.
My company doesn't have to look like a hypocrite. And I know that I'm not screwing people by making sure they have access to this thing that they wouldn't have in the first place.
So now they can go to any web browser, and
it doesn't matter what web browser it is. You go in, you go right to source.tartle.co. Don't go to it yet, guys. We're just finishing up the quality control testing. It would have been out if it wasn't for Apple. And you log right on, create your account, totally free. It'll take you about 30 seconds. It'll be about 15 if you're real good at getting into your email and multitasking, right? And then you're in. It's that quick. Link up your social profiles, start plugging in your data. Guys, let's start making some money and take back the power to ourselves.
So literally, the data that you put out there, that consumer gets to keep a percentage of that monetarily wise.
That's correct.
And then on top of that, is it I don't want to get, depending on how involved you want to get with this, but is there surveys that are given to them?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have two different types of things, right? We have a data category. So a category it's got our kind of our overarching thing, right? So we're going to talk about health or finance. And inside that health or finance data category, we have our data packets. And our data packets are going to define what that information, what that source data is inside of it. Now, these data packets could be like, what's your blood pressure reading for the past 5 years? Give that to me. I'll pay you a certain percentage for it, right? Better yet, what's in your medicine cabinet? Can you believe how many research and pharmaceutical firms will want to know what's inside your medicine cabinet?
Oh, of course.
Think about a HIPAA issue, right? It's such a pain in the ass for you to transfer a medical record from here to there, or for one person to talk about it. It's so hush-hush.
Right, and Google Health. And
you want to know why? Because you're not the person relinquishing that data. There's a contract, right? There's a social contract between people. I'm talking to you relinquishing my information. This is our exchange.
Right.
So for HIPAA, if I want to give you my medical information, I have every right to do so. Now I can sell my medical info. Outside of HIPAA, outside of that regulation, is no longer a problem because I'm the personal party relinquishing it in the exchange.
That makes sense, yeah.
People want to pay for that stuff.
Right.
And what do you care where you got your surgery? The doctors want to know. They want to know what went wrong. They want to know what you're thinking, what you feel like, what's in the medicine cabinet, what you eat. I don't care what it is.
Right, exactly. Do you work out 3 times a week?
So those are your data packets, which sit inside your data category, and you fill that with the source data about you. Because going to the source is the thing that's going to save humanity. I honest to God mean that from my core. Because source means we're making the right decisions, we're reflecting on ourselves, and we're doing what needs to be done to blend technology with the human spirit. Because all this stuff we're saying that we do, like right now we're surrounded by all this technology, right?
Right.
And I would just hope to God that this stuff would match up with who we are and how we act and what we do, right? So this tool is a development tool where I can take that diversion of when we thought we were developing ourselves with technology,
right,
when really it was a diversion from us growing as human beings, and bring those back together.
Yeah, it almost seems like they're taking advantage of the creativity of the human spirit.
Yeah.
Because like we're in a radio station right now and it's, old school hip hop and all that. So you have artists that are out there producing this amazing music.
Correct.
And then they're turning around and trying to put it, they want to get that on that Spotify playlist. They want to, get it listened to on the radio.
Right.
And so they're using tons of data, put it on Instagram and to get it out there and, go on SoundCloud. And then these companies are just taking advantage of that creativity.
That's what they do. It's just this unnatural abuse that it doesn't mean. It's frankly a shame. I have so much. I care so much about society, and I have so much faith that we're all going to make the right decisions. And it's a long learning process, and it's going to be hard for us as a group, right? But as a species, we need to learn to take all these beautiful tools that we're so good at engineering, designing, and pair with what makes us us. That's what we need to do. We have to bring that back. And it's just happenstance of timing that TARTLE comes out at a point when there's such an abuse of this wonderful tool that is the internet. And all this information we create, and we got to put it back in the hands of the people so that we can start to make that bridge again.
That's
the
amazing.
one that we've lost.
Yeah, I love that. We're going to take a break real quick because we've been 47 minutes already.
Oh yeah, no problem.
And then we're going to crack open another beer, and then we're going to come
we'll
back
shoot the breeze. I'll shoot the breeze all day. So I'm going to turn this fan on high.
That's awesome. I love this. We'll be right back.
Join us this week for another episode of the Albuquerque Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week, he interviews leading local business leaders that inspire the vision and spirit in every entrepreneur, discussing strengths, weakness, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together to fulfill a shared vision of a new future for Albuquerque. Listen or download this Sunday afternoon at 4 from your favorite podcasting app.
Okay, we're back. We're back on the break. We're with Alex. What's your website again?
TARTLE, TARTLE.co.
And we were just talking about right here, we're just talking about sunglasses and then influencers on Instagram. You get like one of the Kardashians or somebody like that. And then they turn around and, they have either they're going in with the company or whatever, and they put those sunglasses on. Next thing you know,
it's one picture. One picture every girl's buying it. Yeah. And they're all going blind, They're at the ophthalmologist and they're like, Doc, what's going on? Well, I don't know. You've been looking at Jenner's posts recently?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's that influence that we have to look at, right? Because that's companies, very isolated, siloed, powerful things that have a lot of marketing power, determining how people think. People need to determine the path of their own destiny and how they think. They need to reflect on that. So the marketing power is back actually in the hands of the individual.
If they're being marketed to in such a good way, it's changing who they are as a person.
Well, then you start to, here's my contention about the identity. My thought is that when everybody starts to go on here, right, use TARTLE, and I hope it's millions and millions of people, not for my benefit, I don't give a shit. I don't care if how many breaks even every single year, or if I keep just pulling in money at a total fucking loss to make sure this works for people, we're going to make it happen. But my contention is that with the identity that we're going to find over time, that as we begin to analyze all this information and all these different people, yes, we are individual human beings, but there's a natural thread that connects all of us. And it's my idea that we have different names, different geographies, and we might think differently on some things, but the real core of what makes us us is going to have a very familiar theme. And it's my hope, that'll be my glow, not the fact that the company will become a success, but that I can see and the world will be able to see that we all do the same things. we all make the same decisions and the same mistakes, and then we can use this as a tool to learn from. That would be my end goal.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think if more companies, especially in the technology industry, would have that, if they could pivot to something of that goal, because at the end of the day, what's the difference between, and I'm not picking on any of these companies, but what's the difference between Procter & Gamble and Facebook?
There's no difference. There's absolutely no difference. You're producing a goods or service, right? One person gives you a search engine, the other person gives you a pill to numb your body.
Mm-hmm.
It's either you're numb in the mind or you're numb in a bum leg. It doesn't matter what it is, but they're all doing the same thing. So there's no reason to have such a disassociation or say that my brand's any better than the other, or me as a person is bigger or better than the other person. It's not there. But this will allow us to take a tool, which is highly efficient, like all this technology you and I spoke about, and put something with good intentions and a lot of power behind it and the backing of the people. And with that, we're going to find that we're going to have dramatic positive changes that we otherwise wouldn't have had in the first place. Or if anything, they would have been far too slow to adopt, right?
Yeah, because the outcome is going to be totally different.
Yeah.
Because if you're being influenced in a certain way,
correct,
then you turn around and if you have a marketing influence in that, and I've noticed that with Nissan, like for instance, give you a prime example, they're using commercials and they're targeting, if you look at every commercial that they have, they're targeting African Americans.
Of course.
Well, then I think it was Toyota or somebody just got busted. I saw it online. I was reading about it where they were looking at people's names. And if they had African American names, they found out, they had a lawsuit on this. They found out that they were charging higher interest rates.
Do you see how this works? So this is my issue. They're charging a higher interest rate. How do I level out the data? Right? How do I level out that sort of value? Now, you talk about that sort of intention that's happening, right? That influence.
Right.
We've been walking around blind, letting the select few influence the greater whole.
Right.
When we should be the ones that influence the ones that have the wherewithal to make those changes, right? We should be influencing them. We should be telling them how to make those decisions. That would be a great change. That would be a surmountable difference.
Yes. And the data is, you're telling these machine learning, this artificial intelligence, by your algorithms, you're creating racism.
Of course you are.
You're creating segregation.
What do they do? If you look at an algorithm, right? People love that as a buzzword. What the hell is an algorithm?
Right.
If this, then that. Do a simple solution. If I put this input, it's going to have something on the output. There's your algorithm. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. If I eat bad food, I'm not going to feel well. There's my algorithm. Right. But they take all these algorithms and all these ideas to put things in buckets, right? To then classify and space out and put it in all these different disparate areas when truly they should be combined and put together, right? And then you have problems because you become so highly specific, so highly specialized. Your tools actually do you a disservice. Right.
Well, and what I'm worried about is the data that this AI, this artificial intelligence, these big computers are, collecting. And then in turn, you have a computer that does not have a conscience.
No, it doesn't.
We're as humanity feeding them this information.
Right. So now let's talk about something philosophical here, right? You're talking about feeding an artificial intelligence, right? It's not artificial. It's a form of intelligence. What it is a mirroring of your intelligence.
Right.
So now, plural, they're worried about this AI. Now, if you look at the AI and you take your consciousness itself and you apply that to the development of something, right? The AI is not going to be that bad.
Yes,
because
exactly.
You're mirroring how you design things. So if you design it from the perspective of something with true, good intentions to help, then the AI becomes a benefit. Now you're starting to design your technology, your computers, your thought processes with the human spirit. Now we're bridging that gap again.
Right.
And you hear all this fear.
It's actually helping humanity.
It's helping humanity, but people think fear, Terminator. No, that's not it. You have to design it organically from its base and make sure it matches up with who we are as people. Then you're not going to have that problem. That won't be there.
Right.
It will be designed out of it.
Yeah, I talked to a company that takes data, and they took data from the police department here in Albuquerque, and then I think they presented it to the mayor and different people, but they could actually with the data, they actually found, like, if you put a street light on this corner, and you have the light go on from 3 to 5 in the morning.
Decrease crime?
Yes, in that little pocket. So there is a way to use artificial intelligence to help humanity.
Of course there is. No, there's some beautiful things to it. We can only think so efficiently. Our brain has only developed so much, right? Mm-hmm. Our neural pathways to handle so many thought processes, right? Everyone thinks you're multitasking. No, you're only doing one thing at once. Much people don't understand, but that's how Wi-Fi routers work.
Right.
Only one person can access the internet at a time, but it goes in a circle of all the people that are connected. It just does it very fast. So it looks like everybody's connected at the same time, and really one person's getting piped in. So if you look at that AI, I mean, frankly, they could have looked at history. If you look at the crime statistics that had happened when the light bulb was first invented and put into major cities, you see that crime dropped dramatically.
Right.
Because things are well lit. You know, it's easy for people to hide in the dark. So let's take that metaphor of hiding in the dark. Let's expose the issues that are going on. Let's use this tool, right? TARTLE, which will be this new light bulb. And let's help some people out. Let's help each other. Let's help ourselves out.
But yeah, it's more than just, you know, because we can look at TARTLE as some, oh yeah, my data is being used by these big, huge companies and I need some money for that.
Right.
But it's more than that.
No, it's more than that. And I don't want people to look at it as a combative approach.
Right.
It's a very simple way to market things and to get people emotionally on your side. My hope is that the emotion comes with a greater understanding to step above that sort of fear and that hurt and me versus you. When truly it was just a misuse because people weren't reflecting on the combined effort. We weren't looking at, oh, this was our power. We can actually work together to solve these issues that we actually have, right? That's what I hope is going to happen with it.
And I think at the end of the day, this should be a testament to all companies that are out there that are collecting data.
Correct. And now you have an option.
Mm-hmm.
And they pay these third-party data aggregators a boatload of cash to buy your emails.
Facebook just had that issue.
Yeah, you pay so much money for it. And frankly, you could pay less to get better quality data right from the person.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, they're going off of, you know, what's the intent of the person and then, you know, what certain websites they went to.
Oh
and
my
then
God,
from
all
there,
that sentiment stuff.
Yeah, and then like on the vehicle side where they registered their vehicle at and, you know, I mean, they're pulling stuff from the DMV.
I could create a data packet in 30 seconds and have all this information chalked out and they can get all their answers immediately. There was no waste.
Straight from the source.
Straight from the source. That's exactly what it is. Don't people like drinking water straight from the source?
Right, exactly.
Don't be a damn hypocrite. Go get your information right from the source.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Stop being hypocrites.
Because a person's intent, especially if there's a reason behind to, whether it's, you know, you're monetizing them or whatever, but they're going to tell you right off the bat where they're at. You know, because the honesty, I mean, that's just ingrained in us.
Think about the barometer. It's our honest barometer.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Some people are going to lie.
Right.
What's going to stop... Listen, Jason, what is going to stop me from sitting here and lying to you this entire conversation? Nothing. It's just the hopes that you and I have this contract between one another.
Right.
That I'm going to sit here and be honest with you.
Right.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to speak from my heart so that this message, what I truly care about, is going to resonate. It's going to help your business and it's going to help people all across the globe, right?
But technology can't speak from the heart.
It can't speak from the heart because it's not designed to. But TARTLE allows people to speak from that heart, speak from that heart center, really do what they need to do to be like, hey, this is us. This is what we think. This is what we want, you know? And frankly, it's easy for people to hide behind a keyboard. We've seen it on YouTube comments, all
Yes.
those trolls.
Yes,
So think about how easy it is to get that information from someone if you're going to pay them for it.
Right.
What are they going to do, thumb around on their phone for a couple seconds?
Yeah, exactly. What do you, so like in a philosophical kind of way, what are you hoping that it benefits?
Who do I hope it benefits?
Yeah,
Or what do I
like,
hope it benefits?
you know, in hopefully it's going to benefit people that are marketing the company, but then also it's going to benefit the consumer.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, what is, and I know you're talking about not making a profit and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, what are you hoping if you have this company and it goes amazing and it goes great and, you know, let's say you're 100 years old and you pass away, what legacy would you want to leave with
That's
that?
fantastic. I'm glad you asked that because I think every day when I go to die on my deathbed, and hopefully there's like grandchildren or like people around me that's like maybe a couple of people that care about me, that I have some sort of good story to tell them, right? Something that
Right.
resonates. Now, I'm a systems thinker, right? Everything's a system for me. And at the end of the day, the one true thing that I want this to benefit is the earth itself. And I'm talking about the earth. I'm not talking about the people on it.
Right.
Because the people come secondary to the health of this thing that we sit on.
Mhm.
Right? This beautiful blue jewel.
Mm-hmm.
And humans are fantastic at creating massive amounts of waste. Data waste, food waste, methane waste, because no one keep their ass closed, you know? I want this planet to be protected and saved, and that'll happen through the self-reflection of our own actions. And if I can preserve how people think and find the value in themselves and how we transmit and converse and exchange with one another, it's going to change how we exchange ourselves with the planet we live on. It's our life support, it's our base. My hope is that this source information will come around to help us make the proper decisions to prolong this one thing that allows us to actually be here.
Because realistically, they said, what, 50 to 70 years?
Yeah, and that's sad.
Yeah. I mean, that's what
No,
we
it's-
have. So the responsibility is on us.
It's frankly sad. And when you look at even like an educational like doctor, right? If you're going to go teach at a university, the typical career length is 40 years. So you're telling me on our current system of how we analyze and research things, I have to wait 40 years before I come to some sort of well-cited answer? Bullshit. I want to give people the option to figure it out tomorrow or right now. I don't want to wait 40 years before it's too late. So my legacy would be to preserve this wonderful thing that has given so much to me, the resources I need, the food and the fuel so that I can think the way I do, the books I read, the paper pulp that gets milled down and then inked on from the artificials and the petroleates that come out of the the ground. That's the thing I want to preserve, because those are the things that gifted me the opportunities to make and create and do what I'm currently doing. Those resources would allow us, you and I, to talk on these microphones. That's my philosophy. And when you look at that interconnectedness, you're going to find it, and you see it, and you see the value in the thing you walk on every single day. And that's what I want to preserve. Yeah,
that's amazing. And I think at the end of the day, that's what humanity has to look at for all of us.
Right.
Because there's a responsibility. We can't rely on our, grandparents or, like the SR-71. We were talking about that technology and what that amazing feat did, but we have to learn from that. Like, oh, there's plenty of buffalo. We'll just slaughter them all and have as much meat as we want.
You can't do that.
Those, that generation built what we have today, but it is our responsibility.
Right.
Yeah, and it's come to the point to where, because I've read several books on this, it's come to the point now where, everybody's debating, whether you're conservative or liberal, they're saying 40 to, 70 years is going to have implications that we cannot go back on.
It's not a function of polarity anymore.
Right.
Now it's a function of time. Time's a human construct. Isn't it funny that we've already put our lives into a box and now we're going to self-limit ourselves to a time limit because we've made a shitload of poor choices?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
That's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
So please, for the sake of literally everybody, even if you continue to listen to this radio show, use the source data, compile it, put it out there, start to think, reflect, and let's start influencing the people that can be influenced, that have been influencing us for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I hope that TARTLE will bring that possibility for everyone out there.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing because at the end of the day, what you want to see happen is, and I hate to be cliche, but a better world.
Well, it's not cliche.
So it's a company, a technology company that wants a better world.
Right. And frankly, this is why I was so disappointed with Apple, because I thought they wanted a better world. I thought they were trying to do more for people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not there. And it's just systems by design. Humans are so incredibly creative as a species. And I just want them to continue to apply that creativity and those well, honest, good intentions to just help each other out and understand more.
That's good.
Because we just blindly disregard all this wonderful information that's right in front of us. Here's an easy example, and this goes for just about everybody. How many older people have come up to you and be like, hey, I looked in the mirror one day and I was just like that. I was 60 years old. Where'd my life go? How many people got to tell you that before you wake up and realize, holy shit, there has to be some sort of truth to what is going on here.
Right.
That's what I want people to do. I want them to wake up and realize that. Just like that. That sort of epiphany. Man, there's some truth to what's going on. You just have to stop for 1 second, look in the mirror and realize it yourself. And if that's a function of you looking at all the information you create online and then selling it back to these companies to understand, wow, look at the way I think. Let me reflect on my actions. Maybe you're right. Maybe something good will come out of this.
Yeah, that's good. I think at the end of the day, we have a choice to influence technology but it's almost like people are becoming subservient to it.
Which is a shame. Isn't that funny how technology, right? Financial product, subserviency. You're the one that designed it in the first place.
Yes, exactly.
Did you not?
Yes.
I can't go outside and point at the tree and blame him. He didn't do anything.
Right.
He just sits there all day sucking in my waste carbon dioxide and turning it back into oxygen for me. We're the ones that designed it. Think of a financial product. You're talking be subservient. Think about debt. Debt's an interesting thing, is it not? Isn't that like a new age form of slavery?
Yes.
Why? Because our inflation's high, we're underpaid, and we owe people something for whatever period of time, and we design that financial product, that tool, that instrument, that piece of technology to hopefully make us better for ourselves, but we've over-leveraged ourselves. And then you find all these things that you thought you needed, right? You purchase them on credit. What do? Now I got to work more. Now I got to go get in my box, to drive to a box, to work 9 to 5 in that box to pay off this debt.
Yes.
So what do? You're a new age slave. You've lost your sovereignty. It's gone.
We used to complain about, our grandparents being stuck into a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah.
But we're doing the same thing with student loans.
We're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Guys, hello. Wake up.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't we reflect that nature does happen in cycles, but there's nothing wrong with creating a new cycle, right?
And with technology, we have the ability to be able to do that.
We have the ability to do it, but let's not keep making the same mistakes that we've done before, Move out of that cycle of debt. Make these good choices. Understand that you're becoming a slave to yourself because you've made this choice.
Right.
You need to reflect on it. Understand that it's just truly not good for you. I know it's easy and it comes quick, because people can give you this money and you can get what you need, but realize that sometimes it's better to wait the extra 24 hours to get 2 apples tomorrow than have 1 apple today.
Right. And taking the time to be self-aware enough to go through that process before that transactions happen.
That's correct. It's a spiritual self-control, right? And like I said, let's go all the way back to the beginning of this podcast. There's a book you got to read, and that's the book on you. And we have to learn to read it, and we have to read it well. We have to know it inside and out. Yeah. And then you'll be able to make those decisions. We can figure out where we want to go and how we want to design our technology.
That's amazing. Well, let me give you way over an hour. Do you have social media, or you just have your website?
No, listen, we have our website. We're on all social media. So we're pretty simple to find, and we will be live very soon for everybody to hop on and just like get rolling on this. So please, guys, by all means, create a free account and do yourself and the world a favor.
And what's the website again?
TARTLE.co.
Okay, perfect. And I encourage everybody to do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and one last thing. I would like to put a large amount of thanks not only to my family, but my girlfriend and everyone close that has believed in me for what we've done here. The turmoil I put them through and the stress is because my risk appetite is completely different compared to other people. And I would also like to thank my business partner, Jonathan Schellen, because this gentleman's foresight and understanding of me and how I see the world and sharing that vision has allowed Tartle to become a thing. So I don't want people to think that this has just all been my doing.
Right.
I am just a sliver of the sweat equity that has created this company. You know, it is half the brainchild, and the credit does go to so many other people that have influenced me over time. And Jonathan, as a business partner, has been the most phenomenal person in the process.
That's awesome, because when you're ahead of your time and you're doing something as an artist with something like this, especially when you're breaching that level of understanding humanity, you get to that point where it can be a struggle.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you got to be thankful for that struggle, because it's another learning point, right? Another data point, another piece of source for us to look at.
Yeah, I think that's good. Well, thanks, Alex. I appreciate you being on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. This was awesome. We are going to have, on a lighter note, we are going to have you back. I'm already going to commit you.
No, we're on it. I'm on it.
We're going to do like a late night conspiracy theory or
something.
We'll
open up with the Beatles on, we'll do Blackbird singing in the dead of night.
I think that would be perfect. Yeah. I think we could have some fun with that one. We'll talk about your company, but we'll have a lighter one. I think that would be awesome.
We'll
just ramble.
Let's do it all night.
That'll be good. Well, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thank you to our sponsor, DukeCityMarketing.com. Please go to abqpodcast.com, where you can get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner in Albuquerque.